All right. Um, Probably a long time since we've been in here. So what? March 19th, I think was the last time we were on here. But we're on now. Um, Today is May 8th, so almost 2 whole months schedule. But Dad's trying to get the iPad figured out. He has notes on there from. There's a lot has happened in the past 2 months. We won't talk about it all, or we'll be here till probably sundown. But this is episode 19. The rundown for today is NASCAR, and then what will probably be the longest session of the episode will be the NBA, then the MLB, and then NCAA basketball with some big news that came out earlier this week. You probably already know what it is, but anyways, coming on to the first part, NASCAR is at COTA this week. Oh wait, Watkins Glen. Um, Said that with full confidence too.
I'm here to help.
I think last time we got on here, the most recent winner was Denny Hamlin at Las Vegas. Since then, the winners have been Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, and then Carson Hocevar, and then just this past Sunday, Chase Elliott again. What you might have noticed in that list I named down was two new winners in the NASCAR Cup Series. Those two winners being Ty Gibbs at Bristol and then Carson Hocevar at Talladega Superspeedway. So, I mean, everyone said Hocevar would get a win, but me personally, I wasn't expecting it to be this early. What do you think on Hocevar winning? Because I was kind of calling the Gibbs thing those first couple of weeks, but I did not see Hocevar winning this early.
I think if he was going to win this early, it was certainly going to be at Talladega because you have so many, who have gotten their first win at Talladega. Talladega being a tapered spacer, super speedway track now, where everything at that track is out of your hands. You're at the mercy of everybody else. You're at the mercy of somebody's bad move. You can literally, plow into an accident. We saw the one accident at Talladega that collected like, you know,
The
20,
entire field.
24, 25 cars, whatever it was. Um, but I'm not surprised that he got his first. I'm not this early. I think definitely not surprised that he got it at Talladega. It would be interesting and kind of more or less solidify, I think, his position in place if he can get a win at a non super speedway. So any track that's not Talladega, Atlanta, or Daytona. But I think to answer your question, Jer, I think that Carson Hocevar is the next best thing. I don't think he's coming. I think he's already here. So no, I personally am not surprised that he won this early. Certainly not surprised that he won it at Talladega. Um, how about his celebration, by the way, for the win?
Yeah, I hope they don't ban that. I don't know if they did, but Dave Moody was talking the other day about should they ban that, and I was hoping they won't. I mean, in my opinion, it'd be kind of dumb if they did, but
Yeah, for those who don't know, he won the race, and typically, Jer, every car, the driver will do a burnout or some kind of, they call it a Polish victory lap, where the driver's side is facing the crowd, where he can wave at them. But he drove the car while half of his body was hanging out of it.
well, he's 6'4",
Yeah,
so he
which
can just
helps a
do that
lot.
with
So
these.
he did basically a lap across the front stretch there, the dog leg at Talladega, while he was hanging out of the car. The only scary part was when he nosed it into the wall to finish his burnout, it kind of lurched him forward because he was sitting on literally the frame of the car. But without question, Jeremiah, it was the coolest victory celebration
Did
that
you
I've
see
ever
where he
seen.
tried to catch a beer?
Yeah. Talladega is not uncommon for beers to be thrown around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool. I hope NASCAR doesn't try to over police that. Was it dangerous? Technically, yeah, but I mean they race for a living, which is dangerous inherently.
Yeah.
But really cool. I loved it. I hope NASCAR will leave it alone.
Yeah. So standings too, if you want to head on to that.
Yeah.
So, Tyler Reddick still number one by 109 points over Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott third with the win at Texas. Blaney fourth. Blaney probably could be much, much higher if his pit crew struggles
His,
didn't happen.
his pit crew is bad. Historically terrible.
Going here, a quiet number 5,
What's that?
Chris Buescher. He went
Yeah,
up 2 spots.
talk about that for a minute. Absolutely.
Because you said he was going to be your dark horse, right? And a lot of people are thinking he can now win. I think he's on a stretch of like 4 races in a row with the top 10.
Yeah, I think he's one of those select cars that on the mile and a half, which as you know still dominate most of the schedule. I think he is yet to finish outside the top. I don't know where he finished this past weekend, but at one point in time, maybe coming into this past weekend at Texas, he was one of a handful of drivers who had finished in the top 10 at every mile and a half this year, which is a crazy stat.
It's kind of quiet too, because you don't just turn on NASCAR and hear him talking about Chris Buescher like they do other drivers, you know?
No, I mean not just him, but you have Busher in fifth for RFK. You know Roush Fenway Keselowski. You have Brett Keselowski himself, and
All
in,
3
in,
RFK drivers in
in
the
ninth,
playoffs.
and who am I missing here?
Priest.
Yeah, Priest. Excuse me. Thank you. Priest in 13th. So all three of those RFK cars very quietly inside the top 13,
Mm-hmm.
which is very impressive. You know, Roush Fenway has not been what it's supposed to be for a very, very long time, arguably all the way back to Carl Edwards. So it's good to see that crew doing well. Let me just throw this in there, Jared. It's not on our rundown, but if RFK is the haves, would you say that Penske is the have-nots?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now you've got Blaney fourth, who's by far carrying the flag.
Well, the worst driver right now, points-wise, is Joey Logano.
Yeah, you've got Cindric in 15th, so
Don't
one
know
spot
how he's
out
there.
and Logano out of the playoffs
Where you belong.
right now. So it is not a stretch to say, in my opinion, that the banner carrier for Ford this year is not Penske to this point. It is Roush Fenway Keselowski.
Yeah, because, of course, Blaney is Blaney.
He's Blaney.
Penske
He's doing
signed
Blaney
him to an
things.
extension. But, yeah, I probably agree with you, because right now there's not a lot of Fords in general. The only Ford teams are RFK, Penske, Wood Brothers, and Front Row.
Right.
And the rest of it's Chevy and Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
So there has, and of course forever it's been Penske, but right now it's different. It's been RFK through the first 10 races. We're already a third of the way through the season. And of course with how RFK's been running, they're looking like the solid team. Of course they have the veteran in Brad Kay. They have Ryan Preece who won the Clash or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they got Buescher silently being a top 5 driver in NASCAR right now. But I think this weekend at Watkins Glen, I think Trackhouse might break out, kind of swapping over to a Chevy team. But I think with it being a road course, SVG probably do SVG things. And I heard a thing on the radio where Ross Chastain has ran well at Watkins Glen as well, and of course they got Zilich, who's been okay at road courses this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Trackhouse might finally get their feet going.
Yeah, it's their best chance. Jer, you have your standings there. I'm looking at a different screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
But where are Trackhouse drivers? SVG. Where's he at points? Zilich and the Watermelon Man.
All 3 of them are outside the playoffs right now. Chastain is 18th in points, SVG's 19 in points, and then Zilich is 33rd in points. If Alex Bowman didn't have all the health issues he had, Connor Zilich would be the 3rd worst driver points-wise, only ahead of Cole Custer and Cody Ware.
You know, what's crazy is Bowman was out for almost a month with some vertigo symptoms, but he's got 2 back-to-back top 3s.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we were very hard on Bowman, but, you know, perhaps there was more to his story than anybody knew with the vertigo symptoms he was having. I mean, it got him out of the car completely at COTA.
He was out for what, 2-3 weeks? Maybe?
Yeah, close to a month, if not a month. But so we also talked about this. So what'd you say they are? 17, 18, or 18, 19, and
Yeah, they're 18, 19, and 33rd.
Yeah. So with that, we have Daniel Suarez, who was in a part of that Trackhouse stable last year, but now his came over now driving the 7 for Spire Motorsports. Look at Spire Motorsports. Carson Hocevar sixth in points,
And then
and Suarez 14th.
and they started 1 and 2, and I think both finished in the top 10 this past Sunday at Texas.
Yeah, and McDowell, the third driver,
Oh yeah,
23rd. But two of those three cars are in the playoff right now, and Suarez has got to be the guy on the best end of that deal, right?
Mhm.
He's got
Well-
one top five, three top tens this year.
Well, the car he drove last year is 19th in points right now. So,
That's a good point.
because I think
Yeah,
I
net
think
gain
that's
of-
how the whole thing went. Was Suarez left, SVG jumped into the 99, now the 97, and then they put Zilich in the 88 after Dale Jr. said, "You can drive my number," and then of course Ross didn't go anywhere.
No, that's a good point. That's a net gain, based on that car, of 5. Even over Chastain, it's a net gain of 4. And then, of course, Connor Zilich. It's Zilich is 33. And somebody do the math. It's 14. So went 19 spots. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think the Trackhouse struggles versus Suarez kind of having a resurgence. So good for
They kind of
Suarez.
need to end this week. The Trackhouse struggles if they wanna get back to like the Trackhouse we know, having a car that can potentially go. Well, there's no round of 8, but like if they want a car that can potentially make a deep run in the playoffs, I think it has to change this week for Trackhouse.
Yeah, it's got to, in the deal where SVG is getting much better on ovals. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, he's still pegged as a road course ringer. You do not think of him as a threat when you go anywhere else but a road course.
I'm wearing the SVG shirt right
Yeah.
now, so and on
But-
the back it says the Road Warrior. So
Road course, but he doesn't. You don't think of him as a threat when he goes to anything other than Coda, Watkins Glen, Sonoma.
that's the
You
only
know-
time they really talk about SVG.
This year San Diego, because Chicago's going back to Chicagoland.
God.
You look at the last 10 years, winners at Watkins Glen: 2016 Denny Hamlin, 2017 Truex Jr., 18
Toyota.
Chase Elliott, which was his first career win.
Thank God for
19.
Jimmy Johnson on that one.
Yeah, give him the shove.
Oh,
'Cause
that's the Heat 5 cover.
2019 Chase, 2020. Yeah, I guess 2020 they didn't race because the COVID. So 2021 Larson, 2022 Larson, 23 Byron, 24 Busher, and then 25 SVG. So quietly,
Chevys have been
Chevy and moreover
owning
Hendrick
Watkins Glen.
has been owning. Like you just said, the Glen. Excuse me, my nose is itching. But yeah, the last 10 years, Chevy, and SVG.
Only
Ford.
been a Ford since 2021. Ford, 4 Chevys.
Mm-hmm. Busher got in 24 that'd be 1 Ford, 23 Byron Hendrick, 22 Larson Hendrick Chevy, 21 Larson Chevy Hendrick, 2019.
Well, no one was being Larson.
Yeah, 2019
2021.
Chase, 2018 Chase Hendrick, MTJ in 2017 in a Toyota, and then 2016 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin. That's surprising that Hendrick.
I did not realize Hendrick was that dominant at Coda.
Again, minus SVG, who just is unbelievable. So those are your last 10 years. Those are your winners.
SVG dominated that last year too. I think he
Yeah,
beat
yeah.
Ryan Blaney by like 11 seconds, which is big
Yeah.
in NASCAR.
At one point, he could have made a pit stop and still came out with the lead. Like he was leading
That much.
that big. 15 seconds or more. Pit stops.
I was
and-
watching an F1 race basically.
yeah, pit stops now in Cup are what 9-10 seconds, 11 if you have a bad stop.
Your average starts about 8.2 seconds, but they're starting to get to the points where it's now like 7.9.
which
I
is-
think the fastest pit stop of the year was set by Christopher Bell's crew in Las Vegas. I saw it on Instagram. They had a 7.92 pit stop.
Yeah.
I was like, goodness.
unless you're Ryan Blaney, different story.
Probably have a 9-second.
They
pit
said how
stop
many
there.
hundreds of cars this year because of Delaney's pit road woes. Like how many hundreds of cars this year that Blaney's passed
Well,
on the track.
didn't you say that he's passed the most cars by like 30 and's been passed the most times on pit road by like 40 or
Yeah,
30?
that's what the Fox. That's what Joy and Boyer and Harvick were saying. On the Fox broadcast a couple weeks ago. I think they did make a change. I can't remember Jackman or Gasman or something. They have made one change to Blaney's team, but Mr. Hendrick is not going to settle for that very much. Or Mr. Hendrick, excuse me, Mr. Penske is not going to settle for that very long. Jerry, you also have on here just to kind of keep things in the Hendrick stable. We'll talk about Hocevar and Gibbs, but only two drivers this year have won multiple races, and that is Chase Elliott, the 9 out of Hendrick, and then the 45 of Tyler Reddick, who has won 5 races. And it could seriously be 6 or more.
I think we talked about this earlier in the year/history of the podcast. I think it was during last season. I think we talked about, because I remember it, we talked about how Chase Elliott's injury from 2023 kind of knocked him off a little bit, because he only won one race, like 3 races in 2 years or something like that, and we both said that's not normal for Elliott. And I think now with I think we're seeing the revival of Chase Elliott, honestly.
I think so too, and I'm glad as a Chase fan. But I just wonder if it's now that the points, it's not winning it anymore. It's truly based on points. And Chase has always been known as very, very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that burden's been lifted off him. He can now just run his race. He can be consistent. Alan Gustafson can call races differently. But he's never won 2 races this early in the year, and he's won at a short track in Martinsville, and he's won at a mile and a half at Texas, holding Denny Hamlin off, ironically, both times, finishing 1-2.
Hamlin hates that 95, bro.
Yeah. But Hamlin's been cool. He got me on restarts. He got me on this, that, or the other, so give him credit. But I think it's fair to say, Jeremiah, what do you think? Would you say that Hendrick is struggling based on Hendrick standards? Because they didn't win their first race in the year until Martinsville.
Yeah, I kind of have a two-way on this one. It's kind of like a yes and no at the same time. Because you're right, they won probably way too late to Hendrick standards. But as the weeks have gone on, not so much Bowman because he can't control that, and Justin Allgaier had to hop in his ride a few times. But the other 3, Byron, Elliott, and Larson, are all top 10 in points right now. So if you would ask me this maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I would say yes, it's very disappointing because only one guy has won in that stable. But as of right now, I would say they're starting to get back to the Hendrick we know, to where they have 3 to 4 drivers that are all top 12 drivers in NASCAR. But so for that question, I would give you a yes and no.
Yeah, I think it's almost unfair, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To drive for that team again. That team is the Blue Blood. That team is the Celtics. That team is the Yankees. Team is the Dodgers.
They have what, 300 plus wins?
Yeah. But again, Jerry, I mean, you say that like, okay, they've only won twice this year. And that's one driver.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Larson, who has not won in over 1 calendar year.
Yeah, Kansas marked 1 year.
And Byron, who is not won in a while. But then you look and you see that, Chase has 5 top 5s and 7 top 10s.
In 10 races.
Larson, 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Bowman, 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s. So they're...
But he can control that. Bowman really has, 6 races under his belt?
I meant Byron. Sorry, excuse me. Byron, forgive me. 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s. So they're being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like consistency is not good enough. They only hang with banners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Championships, Final Fours in the rafters of Hendrick, excuse me. So I would agree with you, Jerry. I think the standards are so stinking high there. But I'm here to tell you the fact that Larson's not won in over a year blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's your defending champion.
I think it's like 32, 33 races,
Mm-hmm.
which is almost a full season. A full season's 36 races.
Yeah.
So it's been a calendar year, almost a full season since one of the best drivers in the world has won a race.
Yeah.
First, right now, I have to give that title best driver in the world to Reddick. There's no one better than him right now.
No, he he's on a heater, isn't he? Plus, he just
Mhm.
got that extension, so there's even less pressure on him. You know,
Mhm.
winning is done. The playoffs are what they are now. The lawsuits behind them, so now they could just go drive. And man, has he ever just went and driven?
Mhm.
You know, without that caution this past weekend, you know, Reddick was right there. Reddick got 4 tires late in the race, so I'm here to tell you that this past race at Texas had gone 5 or 6 more laps. He'd have won 6 races already because he had new tires and he just ran out of laps
Mhm.
because he had the best tires, fastest car. But fortunately, between Chase and him, there were just too many cars and too little laps. But yeah, he's on a heater.
Mhm. And
Jerry,
then.
you mentioned Hocevar and Gibbs, first career wins. We talked about Hocevar. Hocevar's going to get more.
Mhm.
He's going to get a lot more.
I could say Gibbs too. Gibbs has been really fast. And I feel like this win was a big confidence boost. Of course, losing his dad knocked him out for a couple years, but he just watching the races the past couple of years, Ty Gibbs has been one of the faster guys on the track.
Yeah, and he's in the Gibbs car, so
Mhm.
he's going to compete well. Like you said, his dad passing away. Who wouldn't that mess up? You know,
Mhm.
literally, if I remember correctly, the day he won the what is now O'Reilly's championship, I think his dad passed away that night.
Mhm.
But there's those two guys got their first wins this year and sitting 6 and 7 respectively in the points. Hocevar at 6, Gibbs at 7. Gibbs with one top. Excuse me. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Let me go back up here.
And then Ty Gibbs has been the second best driver on Joe Gibbs right now. While you look for that,
Yeah.
you got Denny second, Gibbs seventh, Bell 12th, and then Briscoe at 16th. Would you say they're also been disappointing,
I would think so.
JGR?
I think it's almost the same argument. You know, Gibbs 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and Hocevar 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Yeah, Briscoe got off to a miserable start. But
Mhm.
Briscoe right now is the last one. If the playoffs started today, which we know they don't, he'd be the last driver in. So
Coming off a championship 4 appearance.
yeah, you got Briscoe at 16th. I tell you who's having the worst luck ever right now, and that's C. Bell.
Mm-hmm.
He has got to turn things around. He has plummeted in the points.
It has been rough to be a Christopher Bell fan.
Dropped 3 points just this week, Jer, to 12th. Got knocked out early at Texas.
Well, if Priest didn't get sorry to interrupt you again, I'm just pointing this out. If Priest didn't get docked what he did, Bell would be down one more spot, down into 13th and down 4 spots.
That's a great point because Priest just lost 25 playoff points. That's an excellent point. So he's third. By running on the track, he's C. Bell's 13th at best in points. Then you go up and you see Gibbs in 7, of course Hamlin at 2. But yeah, I think it's the same argument. But I think C. Bell is, based on things right now, is really in trouble. And Briscoe's made some uncharacteristic mistakes. He made some on the track mistakes, you know, getting in dirty air and things that are just very uncharacteristics of these guys. So obviously Denny Hamlin's the flag bearer, but Gibbs is right there, and I think there's a big gap. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think there's a big gap in those first two guys. Those first two guys being Hamlin and Gibbs, and the next two guys, which would be Bell and Briscoe.
Well, both of them have a win. Hamlin and Gibbs. Gibbs at Bristol, Hamlin at Vegas.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There is a big gap right now between both Hamlin and Gibbs and Bell and Briscoe, but we still have 25 races left of the year.
Yeah.
24 till championship weekend. So I think that the 20 and 19 they're good enough teams to turn around. They're good enough drivers to turn it around. But I think there's still a lot of good places that they can still win at because Bell's really good at the short intermediates, and then Briscoe's good at super speedways.
Yeah, to your point, both guys have 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. But the standard, you know, may not be quite Hendrick, but the standard in that stable is
It's
so
high.
stinking high.
And you're driving for Joe Gibbs.
Yeah. But here's the deal, like we talked about earlier with Ford, Penske is not the bearer for Ford right now. It is RFK. And I would submit to you that Joe Gibbs is not carrying the banner for Toyota right now. 2311 is.
Yeah, because, of course, they got Reddick. Bubba's been consistent. Just went from 37 to 9th in a backup car.
Yeah. Herbst has been the top 10, top 15.
Herbst has been really good.
And Heim, you know, running a part-time schedule, was leading laps.
He led like 70 laps in Texas.
He's leading laps in the races that he's in.
And like I saw another thing, Heim at mile and a half in 6 starts, he has an average finish at 23rd in 6 starts at mile and a half.
That dude is a monster, isn't he?
He's not going anywhere.
He's the heir apparent. He'll be in that 11 whenever Danny decides to hang it up. But yeah, one more thing, Jerry. You brought this up, but I think it's a great point. This is the last thing you have in our rundown. Our rundown brought today by Jeremiah Lax. You mentioned there was a couple on-track altercations, one between Ryan Preece and the aforementioned Ty Gibbs, and the second being between Kyle Busch and which blank on his name,
And John Hunter.
John Hunter Nemechek. Yeah, thank you.
Well, no, it's fine. We saw both of them play NASCAR 25.
Yeah. So yeah, John Hunter had a deal run in with Kyle Busch at the very end of the race.
Yep.
And then Preece and Ty Gibbs got into it kind of during the race. Jerry, I want to ask you what you think. Preece, for his incident with Ty, was fined $50,000, docked 25 playoff points, which is almost a half a race win.
Costing him a spot in the playoffs. Cost him a spot, like I said earlier.
Cost him a spot. Helped Seabell out, but hurt him. Busch, nothing.
Busch needs to have something happen, but for context, so I'll start with the Preece and Gibbs one. So of course it's probably about halfway through the race, probably in the beginning of stage 2 maybe. But Ty Gibbs does a move on the bottom of the track that Preece gets mad, and Preece said that kid's lucky he has a fast car. Of course, he used some more colorful language, but he said that kid's lucky he has a fast car. Next time I see him, I'm gonna turn him or something like that. And so probably about.
So he admitted on the radio that he was going to do it.
Yeah, it was really.
Stupid.
It was realistically it was probably a racing incident because that's what it looked like. But about 19-20 laps later, Preece gets behind Gibbs, bumps him, and then Gibbs goes around. It didn't look like it was intentional. I think if he didn't say what he said on the radio, he could have gone away with it as a racing incident. But I think the only reason he got fined and docked was because of what he said on the radio, because NASCAR is always listening to those radios. But and then the second one for the Kyle Busch and John Hunter one, this is closer to the end of the race. They're going down the backstretch, and there's a good like maybe 2 to 3 feet in between John Hunter and the wall. But Kyle Busch is trying to get up in between John Hunter and another car. So Busch starts moving up, and then Busch's spotter says, "You're not clear high. You're not clear high." And so Kyle Busch turns into the front of John Hunter. Kyle Busch tries saying it was John Hunter's fault, and then when the caution comes out, Kyle Busch just rams John Hunter into the wall. And so John Hunter claps back on Twitter, and then Kyle Busch says he did nothing wrong, even though on the radio his spotter is saying you're not clear high. But nothing has come out against Kyle Busch yet. I'm thinking something should, but as of right now, nothing has come out on Kyle Busch. So what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I agree 100% because you can't ever judge intent. So NASCAR, when they see those things, to a degree, they have to judge intent, right? They have to look at the circumstances and those kind of things. Listen to the radio, look at history between guys. But I think you said it perfectly, Jerry. When a guy on the radio essentially says, no uncertain terms, I'm going to wreck him, or anything that just leads NASCAR to that, they're already going to be looking for it. As you said, the radios are public. I mean, you can go to the stands, as you know.
Yeah, you can spend $5 and you can listen to any radio you want.
You can listen to the radio, like you're saying, on the NASCAR.com app. They're not sponsors if they'd like to be. Come on,
we'll take it.
But yeah, I think that's the only reason Preece was fined. So maybe
he could have definitely gotten away with it.
Maybe Preece learned something. Hey, if you're gonna do it, just don't say anything.
Keep it hush hush.
Keep it quiet. It's like the kid that kind of tells on themselves.
Yeah.
But I do think I do have issue personally with the one being fined and not the other, regardless of radio or whatever. I know Kyle Busch is extremely disappointed.
He has a history doing this too.
He does, but I know he's extremely disappointed. He's got a brand new crew chief. That's how bad things are there at RCR.
They need to free him, dude.
He's running terrible. He's 26th in points right now.
Could you imagine saying this to someone and like go back to 10 years ago, 2016, Kyle Busch, best driver in the world probably by far.
I was watching some races from 2018, and he's leading at Watkins Glen in the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing and dominating.
I miss that 18 car. So like, imagine going back 10 years ago and telling someone Kyle Busch will race for RCR and be 26th in points.
Yeah, only 1 point ahead of his teammate Austin Dillon in the 3, 26 and 27 in points, respectively.
Austin Dillon should not be in that race.
Kyle Busch, a 2-time champion, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think between all of the, NASCAR levels, between truck, Riley's and, Cup, has like 200 wins or more. 26 in points right now. I agree with you. I don't know where he could go. Chevy's probably not going to let him go because of his name. We can go to Spire, or if he can get out and somehow go to 2311 or something. I think he's stuck. I think he's stuck because he does do some racing for Spire in the trucks. But
he's stuck in the whole Chevy whirlpool, though.
So I think as much as anything, Jared, I think what happened between Busch and John Hunter is just frustration as much as anything. And even his spotter, Jared, you
both of them are running really well.
Yeah, and even his spotter a couple times in the race was trying to calm him down, and Busch would say things on the radio like, "You're not a psychologist" or something like that. Like, there's so much tension in that team that I think Kyle Busch, to a degree, just kind of snapped and doors the 42 a couple times, and it was at least, what do you think about it? It was at least a terrible optic. It looked terrible from a 2-time NASCAR champion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even when he was in the 18, the spotter and crew chief had a rough time trying to keep him calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there was one time where, like, they were like, Kyle, you got to stop or we're going to get fined.
Yeah. But if you're NASCAR, how do you reconcile this perceived inconsistency where you have two similar events? I would argue that, I can't remember if it happened on the cool down lap, but if it happens on the cool down lap, which is when the race is over and everybody's slowing down and they're cooling the cars off, heading to pit road, as the winner stays out, does his burnouts. If it happens there, a lot of drivers have their nets down and they've slowed down, they've got their belts loose. If it happens on those laps, I would argue it's extremely more dangerous.
That happened last year at Martinsville in the O'Reilly series between, what was it, Taylor Gray and Sam Mayer?
Yeah. A lot of times drivers have their hands out the window, But, yeah, just NASCAR has to answer that question, and I think, what's your reasoning? This seems inconsistent, so what's your answer?
I'm trying to pull up the other stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about Watkins Glen on your rundown, second road course of the year behind Coda. Talked about Trackhouse's struggles, Suarez, host of our Gibbs, Chase Elliott, back to normal by his standards. I've won a couple races already this year. The rest of Hendrick, we loosely say struggling based on their standards. Their standards is wins, not top 5s, not top 10s. Larson's drought, Priest, Busch, standings review. So, anything else for you?
I think that's it for NASCAR. NBA. Playoffs are underway in the NBA. Pretty sure everybody knows that. But anyways, as of today's recording on May 8th, 2026, right now the teams that have been eliminated are the Suns by the Thunder. OKC won that series 4-0. Rockets by the Lakers. Lakers won that series as an underdog 4-2.
Without Luka.
No Luka or Austin Reeves.
Surprised there, huh? I was. I did not have the Lakers.
Because it was just LeBron on that team, and everyone was like, "You're playing a young, up-and-coming team. There's no way you guys are winning this." But like, the Rockets were embarrassing in those first 4 games. Like, they were tripping over each other. They looked like they've never been to the playoffs before. Like, people were asking, "How is this team top 3 in the West behind OKC and San Antonio?"
Yeah, I think I would consider 2 upsets. You're going to get to the second one in a minute in the West, and we'll get to this more in a minute in the East. But you almost had 2 huge. Well, you did have one, but you almost had 2 huge upsets
Mhm.
in the East. And we'll get to this in a minute, but you were one game away, or 4 games straight, of having the number 1 and the number 2 seed in the East go down,
Mhm.
leaving the 3rd-seeded Knicks as your highest seed in the East.
Mhm.
Go ahead, buddy. Here's the second upset.
And then the Nuggets lose to Minnesota 4-2. I was split on this one. I created 2 brackets. I had Minnesota winning in one, and then Denver winning in the other. Because coming into that, I was thinking Denver. They have Jamal Murray and Jokic. Ant didn't finish the year off too well. Ant he ended up hurting himself in the series, but then Io DeSumo comes off the bench and drops 40. Jaden McDaniels turns into an all-star, and then the Minnesota just cruises right by, and they're playing San Antonio pretty hard right now with Ant coming back, but Ant hasn't been the best player on that team recently. It's been Jaden McDaniels and Io DeSumo getting it done for Minnesota right now. Then the Trailblazers lose to the Spurs. Magic lose to the Pistons. Pistons win 3 straight
Yeah.
to get out of there. Raptors lose to the Cavs. Hawks.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Sorry. In Game 6 of that Pistons Magic series, it was in Orlando, and the Magic led by 24 early in the third quarter.
Okay, he's averaging 33 points per game right now.
But the Magic were up by 24 and lost the game by 14. And I think that broke the Magic organization because now they're looking for a head coach.
Yeah, and the Magic, their entire team just shot horribly. I don't think they should have fired Jamal Mosley, because it's not his fault when your all-star has the nickname PB No J. So, it's not his fault your team can't shoot, bro. I don't think they should have fired him. So, what do you...
If you have a PB with no J, that ought to be illegal.
Yeah.
Right, this has nothing to do with sports, but I asked most people this question. It determines our friendship.
Crunchy peanut butter is way better.
We'll talk about that later. But when you're making a PB&J sandwich, regardless of your crunchy or smooth, what is your ratio? For example, 50% PB, 50% J. What do you think?
I go 55-45. I do 55% peanut butter, 45% of Grammy's jelly.
We can't be friends anymore. I'm the opposite.
Not bad.
I'm the opposite. Give me more J than PB. Sorry, that had nothing to do with anything.
Well, I like more peanut butter with the crunchy peanut butter because it has the little peanuts in there.
Butter's not supposed to crunch. I will die on this hill.
Okay. And then the next series, the Hawks lose to the Knicks with a rough last game. They won that game by what, 55 or
1,000? Like, it was so bad. And you have to wonder, Jer, does that have any lasting impacts? Of course it will for Orlando because they're going to have a brand new coach. But those kind of meltdowns, I'll call them, what impact does it have on an organization when you had the number 1 seed down 3-1? In Game 6, you're up by 24 points, poised to go to the second round. And then for the Hawks, you lose that Game 6 by whatever the math. What they lose that game by? Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
By 1,000. What impact or impacts does that have?
Lost that game by 51.
51. What impact does that have on your team and organization going into next year?
Well, for the Hawks, that puts you in the history books. That's one of the biggest losses in playoff history. And just the Knicks, I think, with that win as well, set a record for playoffs. It was like most consecutive games with beating your opponent by 30. They went 3 games in a row beating their opponent by 30. The last 2 games of the Hawks series, and then that first game against Philadelphia. And of course, they're playing a confident Philadelphia team who just had probably the biggest upset of the playoffs, beating the Celtics in 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the upset I was telling you about. I mean, how close were we in the East to having the 1 and 2 seed go down?
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really close. Again, the Pistons were down 24 in that elimination game in Game 6.
And the Celtics were without Tatum in Game 7, so they were without their heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
in that one because Jalen Brown, he's a good player, but he kind of goes down a level in the playoffs. It feels like
Yeah.
unless it's 2024. But right now in the second rounds, Thunder are playing the Lakers. Timberwolves are playing the Spurs. Pistons are playing the Cavs, and the Knicks are playing the Sixers. The only game here that isn't 2-0 is the Wolves Spurs one, where Wemby just dominated in game two, but they go to Minnesota. What do you think on the second round so far on three of the four series being 2-0 right now?
I can't say I'm surprised. I am a little surprised, I guess, if anything, that the T Wolves got one in San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
because that essentially gives the Wolves home court advantage now. Um, I feel like the T Wolves always play their best ball late in the year and into the playoffs.
About the second round and Western Conference Finals because they're off like 2 or 3 straight conference finals.
Yeah, OKC is terrifying always.
But the officiating has been very bad in that series.
I have
heard.
that down. It was so bad, at least according to the Lakers, that after the game of the night, like multiple Laker players, coaches, whoever, literally like just gathered around the referees, made a circle, and were making their displeasure known. But I think there's some merit to it. I think I'm an SGA fan. I'm an OKC fan. But I think if you look at the fouls that are called against whoever is playing defense on SGA, I think it's extremely questionable. And give SGA credit, he used that to his advantage. I can't stand officiating in the NBA anyways because I think the defender is always at such a disadvantage.
Well, they made so much new offensive rules right now.
Offensive rules.
So it's hard to play defense right
Like,
now.
how can a guy jump into another guy? Like, what is the defender supposed to do? Like, which part of the court is his? If he's standing there and an offensive guy jumps into him, runs into him, boom, foul, he's going to the free throw line. A great player is fouled out, whatever. I don't know the answer, but that is one of the reasons that I am not a fan of the NBA. Not a huge fan, not like you, is because I just think it puts the defense at such a disadvantage, and SGA's taking advantage of it. But yes, to your point, everything I'm reading and seeing, the officiating is extremely questionable, favoring OKC in this Lakers OKC series.
But OKC, they're going into LA with a 2-0 lead right now and probably the favorite to win it all because I said the Spurs, but man, that pick has me wobbling right now because they're kind of flirting with death right now. Because don't take Minnesota lightly right now.
But here's my thing, one more thought. It's almost like water off a duck's back with the officiating with LA. LA's not going to win this series. LA may get a game. They may get a gentleman's sweep.
You're still without Luka and you're playing OKC.
So it's not like the officiating is going to tip it one way or the other. OKC is the dominant team.
And Austin Reeves, another good player for OKC. LeBron has been by far the best player on that team. Because LeBron, I think, is averaging about 25 points per game right now.
41, at 41 years old.
At 41. But LeBron doing what he always does and turning it up in the playoffs right now, carrying this team. I saw a graphic the other day when they were playing the Rockets in the first round. Of course, on the Rockets side, you got like a Min, Alperen Şengün, KD. On the Lakers side, you had LeBron, Luke Kennard, and Marcus Smart. And so, and then Austin Reeves came back and shot 3 of 16 the other night in game 2. So right now, LeBron is going through it, to say the least.
But I agree with you. I think the one that does surprise me are the T-Wolves in general, not just this round, but beating Denver.
Well, Ant hasn't been playing good. I think he had of course, he's coming off like a bone bruise or something like that in his knee. But I think in the last game, he had like 12 points or something like that. It was not what you normally see from Anthony Edwards.
But I think even looking ahead, the Thunder, I think they will, if they're going to struggle, I think they may struggle a little more against the Spurs. But in the East, both those teams with the 2-0 lead. I don't think either one of us sees them, the Pistons or the Knicks, losing that series.
The Pistons Knicks one will be fun because the Knicks, they've looked like probably the best team in basketball in my opinion the past couple of games because like Cat I think is just had like a 20-point double double. Jalen Brunson is doing his thing. Josh Hart being is going crazy. OG Anunoby's playing great defense, but I know OG's battling some injuries right now. But in my opinion, the past couple of games, the best team in basketball has been the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I agree with that currently. But the thing I find hoping as a Pistons fan is the Pistons swept the Knicks this year in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like when those two teams play head to head for
Can you
this year,
imagine
for
being
sure.
Detroit, you're playing rivals right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, but you got to think the Pistons. I mean, have to have some confidence coming in. Having swept the Knicks in the regular season. The Sixers being a 7 seed, they're playing on borrowed time. They're playing with house money.
Mm-hmm. And I think Embiid's been in and out, of the lineup, but Embiid played really well in that Celtics series. Probably one of the main reasons the Celtics pulled off that upset is because of Joel Embiid, and then Paul George played good for the first time in a while, and then they got Tyrese Maxey, who is a quiet 28 points per game scorer. Then they got the young star in VJ Edgecombe. So I did not see Philly winning that series, but after seeing that Tatum was out and that Embiid's coming back in that game 7, I was like, it might be over for Boston. But right now, just I don't see anyone beating New York. I just don't see Philadelphia being able to keep up with New York right now.
No, I would agree. I think the Pistons and Knicks are on a collision course, and
yeah, because the Cavs, all they have is Donovan Mitchell. James Harden hasn't been playing well recently.
He's getting up there. As we always mention, Father Time is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
But then NBA draft, the lists are not complete. You talk about the combine invites being sent out. Share that stat you shared with me the other day, where a couple years ago, X amount of players entered the draft, and this year there's only so much.
So
a fraction
in 2021, so 4 years ago, there was like 356 names in the NBA draft. This year there's only 71 names in the NBA draft, so there will only be 11 guys who don't get drafted, I think, which is insane. There has, of course, this draft class is loaded, so there's probably a lot of guys who are like, if it was any other year, I would go, but this year's just not the year with, of course, Stabonsa going 1, Boozer going 2, and then just with how crazy this draft class is. But yeah, there's only 71 names in the NBA draft this year compared to like the 356 that were in 2021's draft.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a lot of people have put the blame on NIL? Because a lot of schools this year have spent 15 million plus. Kentucky, Tennessee spent 18 million on their roster. I think Kentucky has a budget of 22 million. I think Michigan's spending around the 18-20 million mark. So there are a lot of schools right now who are paying anywhere between 15 to 22 million, and so that a lot of people have put the blame on the NIL for why the NBA is down 200 names.
I don't know what else you could blame it on, because what else has changed in college basketball in the past few years? You maybe could have said the COVID, years, which allowed some kids to play until they were 24, 25 years, or maybe a couple of cases where they're older than that. But I just think in some of those cases, you can make as much, if not more, playing college basketball as you could make in an early deal.
Tennessee paid Juke Harris $4 million. That's probably a 2-year. That's probably your whole rookie contract.
Yeah.
In the NBA.
And that's my point.
Because if it goes like how it does in 2K, like I think each rookie, because I don't know how contracts work in anything, so I just go off what the video games do. And in the NBA, a rookie signs a 2-year deal, and it's a 2-year option. So like after 2 years, I think it's the team that chooses if they want to keep him, but that's a full 2 year deal
Yeah.
in the NBA.
Yeah, where are you going to make $4 million a year, or a couple $1 million a year plus, sponsorships and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're crazy not to you're crazy to go unless you have to, because you're not going to make that money anywhere else. At least in my limited understanding of NIL, you're just not going to make that money anywhere else with the deals or anything like that. So I do think that's it. I will say Kentucky's not going to spend that this year because they didn't get Stokes. So now Coach Pope is just really trying to put a
He's
roster
trying to
together.
do what Illinois did last year, but
Now
I don't think
it
it's
worked
going to
for
work.
him 2 years ago when he took that team to the Sweet 16 and almost to the Elite Eight. But I think and Pope admitted as much. They put a lot of eggs in the Stokes basket, and come to find out, he was already talking to and signing things with Kansas while he was talking to Pope and in Lexington. So Stokes made Kentucky and Lexington just look like idiots.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the world we live in.
Yeah, in the March Madness predictions sent out by Andy Katz and other college basketball people, Kentucky is projected to be a 11th seed in the Midwest, playing Maryland to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the biggest brains in the college basketball world see Kentucky barely even making it into the expanded tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And they see him as an 11th seed. That's down 4 whole seeds.
Yeah, it is difficult times in Lexington right now for our basketball team. Our football team,
our football team's good.
Different story. Perhaps this new iteration of what was Indiana could be what Will Stein and those Kentucky Wildcats are doing on the gridiron, because it's insane.
I think Kentucky made the switch from basketball to football.
I think that's the way it's looking for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, folks, I'm sorry to have to do this. I have got a dinner I've got to get to, so I will leave this with you.
How long have we been on?
Wow. Hey, folks, how long have we been on? Where do I see this?
Right there at the top.
52 minutes to answer your question.
Quitter.
So, Jared, thanks for always letting me hang out. Sorry I couldn't finish with you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Share with your friends. You're in better hands anyways now with this guy. He just lets me tag along. But, Jared, I love you. Proud of you, buddy. And see you guys later.
I'm going to try to get... But I would just probably do some predictions. Let me see here. So, of course, we said Thunder will probably win that one. My NBA champion, though, I'm sticking with my gut, is the Spurs. I just feel like with how Wemby plays, Castle, just with that core they have, it's going to look, I have them winning, and I think in the season series, I think it was about 5 games that they played OKC. The Spurs won that series 4-1. So I'm just going off what the regular season has shown, but I just hope they don't take Minnesota too lightly. At the NC, I'm gonna go on to college basketball. I have the MLB on here, but I don't feel comfortable. Dad left his phone. I'll do the MLB when I have Dad or Uncle B on here. But going into the NCAA part, the tournament has expanded. Like we mentioned briefly earlier, the tournament has expanded from 68 teams, from 64 teams to 76 teams. So I don't know how the whole thing works. I saw where the NCAA broke the whole thing down. I just don't get why they had to mess with it. It was perfect. It was perfect at 64. The computer's about to turn off. But it was perfect the way it was, in my opinion, leaving it at the 64 mark. And Andy Katz, a insider for the NCAA, broke it down. He broke it down, and then he gave out his Power 44, which, as of right now, if the season were to start today, this is his top 44 teams in the men's college basketball world right now. So I'll just go through here. 44 teams. You can probably slow it down if you want to, but I have they have number one being Duke, number two Florida, because I think Thomas Hall and another guy stayed, making them look crazy good again next year. Um, Michigan, Illinois, Tennessee, UConn, Arizona, Arkansas, Texas, Michigan State, Vanderbilt. That's the top 11. This is 12 through 22. Virginia, Kansas, Houston, Louisville, Alabama, Nebraska, Iowa State, Purdue, USC, Gonzaga, and St. John's. 23 to 33 here. Um, Miami, Indiana, Missouri, VCU, St. Louis, UCLA, Ohio State, BYU, Iowa, Texas A&M, and then North Carolina. This is the last little bit here. They have Providence, Baylor, Wisconsin, Auburn, Xavier, Ole Miss, Marquette, Texas Tech, Kentucky, and Maryland and New Mexico. As a Tennessee fan, I love that that we finally are doing good. I think Rick Barnes is gonna go all out, but you know what? I have some time to kill. I'll do the MLB, but like we have said a couple times, we are very casual in the MLB. I cannot be one of those people who can name like 50 players off the top of their head. Um, and so if I can pull, trying to see if ESPN, no, it won't. That's why would it? But I'll just go through my notes here. So the Braves, my favorite MLB team, they lost their first series of the year in May. They lost to the Mariners the other day. They lost 1-2. Um, so it was it was great as a Braves fan. And then the Braves, Yankees, and Cubs are tied for best in the MLB. I know the Cubs are coming off a really difficult schedule where they had to play the Dodgers, the Padres. They just had to play a ton of California teams in a row, which is really grueling at times. That's what Atlanta is currently on. They are in the West playing all those teams. I think they played game one against the Dodgers tonight. But the Yankees have been really quiet. I haven't paid much attention to them. Of course, they have Aaron Judge. I know they have a really good and really tall outfielding prospect that they just called up. He's like 21 years old, 6'7". No meme, but they're going tall in the outfield with Aaron Judge and him. But I know their pitching is good too. And then my least favorite. Oh no! Hey, it's in here. I wanted to call you, but your phone was there. Sorry about that. He left his phone. But yeah, the Phillies they fired their manager there last week after a rough go. They were down there with the Mets as worst team in the MLB, but they just went on a big run that now puts them at second in the NL East and one of the better teams in the whole National League. So yeah, and then the Tigers have no Scooble for the next couple months. He had to get surgery on his elbow. I think it said loose bodies in his elbow. But Jeff Passan said it's not the worst it could have been. Um, and then leaders in each league right now, Tampa Bay and New York are just running away. They're on a like 5 game. There's 5 games between them and the Athletics for top in the NL. And then Atlanta, Chicago, and LA are all within 3 games of each other. Right now, the Cubs lead that by like a game and a half. Then the Dodgers are at 2.5. So a lot's at stake, standings wise, in the Braves Dodgers series tonight. Um, but outside of that, that's everything I got for today. Yeah, episode 19 stuff should be more frequent now. I'm done with school, so all they got is just track. But that's everything sports wise that we got. So yeah, like Dad said before he left, like, share, um, subscribe or whatever. Um, so yeah, we just do this to have fun.